Few figures in history have left such a lasting impact as Saddam Hussein, the infamous leader who ruled Iraq with an iron fist from 1979 until his downfall in 2003. But beyond the wars and sanctions, beyond the political turmoil, there's another story, one that you might be holding in your hands right now, the currency of Saddam's Iraq. During his reign, Saddam's face wasn't just in the newspapers or on TV screens. It was printed on the very currency that Iraqi citizens used daily. These notes tell a hidden story of a country in isolation, under sanctions, and battling economic collapse. First up, the 100 dinar note issued in 2002, 1 year before Saddam's regime came crashing down. This note, like many others, prominently features Saddam's portrait, a symbol of his absolute power. At this time, Iraq was under severe economic sanctions following the Gulf War, and inflation was rampant. But the currency remained a tool of propaganda, portraying an image of strength, while the reality for ordinary Iraqis was far different. The 250 dinar note, also from 2002, came at a time when inflation had reached staggering levels. The face value of the note had lost much of its worth, but the regime continued issuing higher denominations, trying to keep the economy afloat. Even as the regime was on the verge of collapse, this note, like others, was an extension of Saddam's power, where currency was more a political statement than a true reflection of the nation's economic health. In 2001, the 25 dinar note was introduced. By this time, Iraq had already been through a decade of sanctions and conflict. The note showcases ancient Iraqi artifacts, linking the modern nation to its rich historical past. A reminder that Saddam often tried to cast himself as the protector of Iraq's ancient legacy. But the truth was, while the regime was printing new currency, the people were struggling with shortages of basic necessities. The 10 dinar note from 1992 was one of the first to be issued after the Gulf War. Iraq was already feeling the effects of international sanctions, and the value of the dinar was dropping fast. But Saddam's regime continued to print currency, with little regard for its actual purchasing power. What's fascinating about this note is its design, featuring historical monuments, a stark contrast to the economic reality on the ground. By the mid-1990s, inflation in Iraq had become so bad that small denominations like 10 dinars were practically worthless. Finally, we have the 10,000 dinar note, also issued in 2002. This was one of the highest denominations of currency ever released in Iraq, and it tells a grim story of the country's economic decline. By this time, the value of the dinar had plummeted, and the introduction of such a high-value note was a desperate attempt to keep the economy functioning. Yet despite the massive face value, even this note could barely buy much in the chaotic market conditions of the time. After the fall of Saddam's regime in 2003, the 10,000 dinar note was still in circulation, but with the face of Saddam quickly removed. Each of these banknotes is more than just paper. It's a relic of a turbulent period in Iraq's history. Saddam Hussein used currency not just to represent wealth, but to reinforce his regime's control over every aspect of Iraqi life. But in the end, even the currency couldn't save him from the inevitable. If you enjoyed learning about the history behind Saddam's currency, make sure to like, share and subscribe for more fascinating stories from history and the world of collectibles. Who knows what other secrets money might hold?